This is an overview of the work I did for the Girl Scouts and SciStarter Think Like a Citizen Scientist journey. So Girl Scouts partnered with SciStarter to offer a multi-week journey they have these journeys, multi-week journeys to earn a badge about citizen scientists for the scouts, right? For different all the levels of scouts, and there's actually different journeys for different levels of scouts. But this system largely rectifies all of those into one user interface, and it's more at the meeting level that things change. And so this project, again, it's there to rectify this multi-week. It's kind of become it's kind of this wayfinding through this online and offline experience, because you need to go online and do some of these projects and mark everything as done. So there's there's three different systems designed and developed here. We have one is a system for the volunteers. Well, that's what they call the troop leaders in Girl Scout parlance, and they need a way to take attendance, to move through this journey, to know what they need to do through this journey. Then there's a system for the Girl Scouts. Now, a lot of the Girl Scouts are too young to really log in, and so there are some things taken there, but for the most part, Girl Scouts can have a login, and then they can see as they progress through it, and they can go back to it, and they can get more involved in citizen science after the full journey's finished. And then lastly, there's an organizational dashboard, right? So that's where they can check in on the data of what's been happening with this journey, where the states are there any points we need interventions, things like that, right? And so there's a lot of data visualization there. Basically, right, this is housed completely on SciStarter, and really, this is locked down. You really can't get to it unless I'm a super user, right? So I can get to it, and this is live completely right here, what I'm looking at. But I'm probably going to just go through because it's so stateful. It doesn't make sense to go through it live. I'll go through various mock-ups. Right, but this is a landing page that Girl Scouts may get to, and this is more for the Scouts themselves if you happen to get there. The troop leaders would actually have a special link from the Girl Scout site that gets them to where they need to go. So let's look at that. We have these three workflows that are put together. So let me start with the volunteer workflow, right? So the very first thing that you have to do is you have to, that's an old mock-up header, different header, but right. We have to sign up. We log in. Some of these are some of the older designs, I guess. On this mock-up, I actually had made it a little more green up top, right, as you noticed in the live version. And again, I can't get my local host server running. We could go in actually and try to look at the live site. Right, here's the live site. Right, and so this is actually that's the Scout landing organization. So this is the volunteer landing. This is where the first place once a troop leader gets logged in gets to see, right? And it's kind of a recapitulation, right? Because this is this multi-week thing, and there's some video tutorials and various other pages that you could go to, but right, it's kind of a recapitulation. You've learned to observe, you've learned to analyze like citizen scientists, and so now basically really meeting 3 is where this journey really starts going. I think maybe it's a 6-week meeting, if I recall correctly. Right, and so we have really what we do is we focus them on these 8 ooh, there's more projects now than when I delivered this, where these projects have been specially vetted by SciStarter to be very Girl Scout friendly. Very easy for them to do within this journey. So, right, we can watch the idea is that in the first meeting, or this meeting 3 rather, they watch these videos, and as a group they select which one they're going to do, right? And once they select the project, I'll just select stream selfie. Okay, there's a little more to starting a journey, right? There has to be some information so that people know, and I'm on a live site, so I will actually muck up the data if I start doing this, so I don't want to do that just out of courtesy. So let me go back to this stage of the mockups, right? So we should hopefully be there, right? And you see that you have a different setup in this thing, but you had more information in this part. But we had confirm settings, right? We're seeing some of the old things, but if you notice, this is a lot like they already have a dashboard system, so they wanted to build this on top of the dashboard system. And I had built the dashboard system that they had, right? And so really we just appended this here, And so basically, right, this is kind of a command center, this first look for the Girl Scouts. You know what, I'm just going to go ahead and start a journey and just tell them to scrub the data, because that would be the easiest way, right? I'm just going to say that we're brownies, and that I'm, you know what, actually, I wonder if I can go to Sandbox. This is actually a kind of whoops, okay, that's not working, sorry. Right, so on to the next step. I guess I'm just going to stay with the mock-ups, even if they're not completely in the state they are. Right, we have this whole system here, right? So really, meeting 3 and meeting 4 is where we're 5 are doing this, and I guess meeting 6 is more of like the award ceremony and things, right? But here we have, once you pick your you had previous journeys, because you can do multiple of these journeys, but your current journey comes right here. Gives you some instructions. You can go ahead and log data, right? There's a whole system for managing the Girl Scouts, right? So you're going to put Girl Scouts in. You make sure if they to connect Girl Scouts with their accounts, right? We have these codes that they kind of click these links, and the Girl Scout automatically gets populated in here. You take attendance, and you can right. So there's this checklist, and there's various things that you have to do. Once you have finished this part of the meeting, right, we take away the one part because you don't need it anymore, and you just focus on meeting 4. Now you can see this ahead of time. If you noticed, you could have clicked on this and go to this just to see what you'll be doing in meeting 4. But right, it's not fully necessary to go there. But once you get there, right, it has instructions. A Girl Scout basically does a second project on their own, depending on their age. So there's some different views here depending on age, right? But again, they do some kind of a project, and it could be a citizen science project, and sometimes it can be just like their own self-directed thing. But they do it as groups, and the troop leader goes ahead and records what was done. Once they're finished and they've completed the week 3, they do that. They'll complete the thing. This is actually an old mock-up thing, so it's a little more fanfare. I designed it when you actually finish it. But right, that's it. You finish your journey, and you've had these recorded, and you can go and review these. Right, so the whole system is just based on helping the troop leader facilitate through this multi-week journey. As far as the scouts are concerned, if I go back to, hopefully this will bring me back. Now a scout this whole time, if they chose to log in, right, and troop leaders can enter scouts if they don't have access to computers and things like that, right, they get this messaging like, hey, this is what you're going to be doing, right, when their original link that they were sent by the troop leader to join, and they say, yes, I want to be a citizen scientist. That one's off, right? And so they create an account, right? And so now this again is very stateful, right? Depending on what meeting they're at, it is what is happening over here, right? So if you're in meeting 3, you're going to see more meeting 3 things. If you're in meeting 4, you're going to see more meeting 4 type information. I just want to see if there's any of the various views happening here. Right, so you can see there's a lot of screens that I developed for this whole system here, various screens and states, right? But again, it's very hard to show this work because it's so stateful and depends on the data and what's being served, and sometimes things were rolled in after we had already gone into the developing stage, and so I didn't go back in and mock them up. I kind of made them as is, like kind of just on the fly, integrated them in the changes that we decided. But anyhow, the last view that we could look at is right, a dashboard for the Girl Scout organization to just see what's happening within the lines of these things, and see how the Girl Scouts are progressing through, right? And so again, I intimated that there are multiple levels, right, of Girl Scouts, and so you can see the different levels of Girl Scouts, and you can kind of see what's going on. All right, get some data, figure out all these, right? And I did all the coding of the data visualizations and everything. We have a Council Explorer. Whoa, I did not do that. I would never ever do a pie like that. That is terrible. I am very upset by that. So this is live on the site, right? So that's why, right? But I put an Explorer here that you could see various things, right? And yes, I did not do that. So do not fault me for that one, right? And then, of course, I'll write just more data, right? Like what's going on with this, and this is comparative. How are Girl Scouts faring to average SciStarter? And apparently they're not faring very well, right? But again, this is all what this is. This is actually, at first I had designed a map for it, but we never implemented it, so they decided to go ahead and make this very unfortunate use of a pie chart. They put it in there, and that's the problem with web design, right? And I haven't been on this project also in close to a year, right? I delivered it and handed it over, and so that is hopefully gives you a sense of what all went on, right? This was a pretty appreciably sized project, just like the dashboard, where I had to go through all figuring out right, just the user journeys. These 3 different user journeys between the troop leaders, the scouts, and the organization. I designed everything. I coded everything except for the real back-end stuff, like the database level stuff. But I did put together all the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the integration with the Django framework as far as views are concerned, states. And that is an overview of that project.